You are listening to Arts on the Air, a bi-weekly-ish interview show dedicated to Savannah, Georgia's artists, musicians, and authors. Each episode will feature a guest in conversation about their philosophy, practice, and current projects, as well as their thoughts on the state of the arts in our community of Savannah. Our theme music is a clip of Summer Nights by the Eric Jones Trio. It's provided by our friend Marchutz, who plays with the Eric Jones Trio. Hey everyone, welcome to Arts on the Air. This is Tamara Garvey, and I'm sitting down with artist Dana Richardson. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, so happy to speak to you today. I'm going to read a little bit from your website. Born in Sewanee, Tennessee, Dana explores the re-enchantment of spaces through her subconscious painting method, using automatic processes to channel internal landscapes. I love that. Can you break that down a little bit for us?
Yeah. My work has changed recently, and I tell people that I haven't changed, but what I'm showing has changed.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've changed.
Except that we're all changing all the time a little. Right?
Yeah. So that's true. I do think there's like a maturity that's come in to it that, also allowed me to make a big artistic change. So the automatic process of painting is certainly not something that I invented, but it was different from my previous work that was very kind of like planned and color palettes and lots of thumbnails and preliminary sketches and swatches. And when I started making this newer body of work, I just wanted to go for it and see what showed up. So the automatic being kind of just going straight through your internal intention. And
And this would be more describing the work that you've been doing since you started at grad school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to grad school in Baltimore, and right before I left, I kind of just told myself, I'm going to do something different. I don't know what that's going to be, but I just want to be open and try something new. And the only thing I had was a little accordion book about 2 inches by 5 inches that was from my grandmother. And I just knew that was the starting point. And I was just going to take that and see where it led to.
Is this a blank book?
No, it was some sort of tourist piece thing that she must have gotten. I mean, that somebody gave her. It looks kind of Japanese.
Yeah.
And so you take it out of its little sheath and then you open it out and it just like expands really big, and inside is like a little charcoal line drawing of a marsh and a beach.
Oh, it's like one long continuous drawing?
Yes.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I was wondering, I know we'll talk about it, of course, but you did have started dabbling out into artist books, so I love that. That was a piece from your grandma, you said?
Yeah, so
that's very cool.
I got to pick that out when she passed away. She had it in her house. I don't know the backstory. She had a friend named Sally Tesmar that was a big world traveler, and that was her like best friend. And I'm guessing it was probably from her friend Sally. So I took that with me, and I just thought, this is going to be the starting point, but I like this small thing that expands.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I've been staying with that idea ever since.
It's interesting because you've been in Savannah for years, and you've been painting for years, and for like quite a while you had this very distinctive look where everybody could tell you're one of the artists in town who, if you saw your piece on a wall, people would be like, that's a Dana Richardson. And yeah, it was, for lack of a better word, it had that paint by numbers look to it with the very hard shapes to it and the hard edges. And like you said, you've always been very into color theory, so I imagine it was very planned out with the warms and the cools and depicting distance away for things. And now, since you've gone off to grad school, you still are doing the landscapes, but it's very, just as we call it, painterly.
Yeah.
Are there certain artists who kind of started this process of like the automatic painting? Are there classic people that we can look at for that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a Dada idea
Okay.
to do poetry, just automatic writing. So
Yeah.
it's the same idea. Man Ray, and also sort of letting chance take over. So with the Exquisite Corpse, kind of just releasing control of what the outcome is going to be.
Yes. Did you used to, in your older pieces that were more planned out and in the newer ones, would you work from photos or from being in person then or now? Like, has that changed at all?
Yes, so now no photos
Okay.
is the hope. I mean, sometimes I'll look up a reference image or look at some sketch I've done. Before, it was definitely from photos. I
Okay.
mean, really, really. The whole idea with those pieces was I was trying to see how far away from local color I could get. I just wanted to see. It always was an experiment to just try.
Yeah. And by local color, you mean like the actual natural colors when you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is, can you tell the difference? Can you tell that it's still my work from what I used to make?
Well, I think now I can, because now you've built up a pretty good body of work in this new style. But at the very beginning, probably not.
Yeah.
Because it really changed, which is cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I'm still interested in like a kind of graphic, strong contrast, bright colors to a certain extent, though my palette has become much more limited. So, I mean, I can get away now with just using ultramarine, burnt sienna, white, and a yellow. And that's, you can make a lot of stuff with those 4 colors.
Yeah. Ironically, so if you have this really limited palette, that makes it really easy for you to like go off in nature and do things plein air. But like you're saying, you explicitly do not want to be looking at something while doing it. So it's kind of funny.
Well, I mean, that's like the risk is how much internal memory do I have that I can pull out without having to look at something.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's like kind of scary, but it's also been extremely affirming to just not know and it work out. I mean, I think that's also been kind of I don't know, that to me feels sort of some sort of cosmic aid, you know, like I'll look, like when I started doing a very large piece, I didn't have any idea what it was going to be, and I just started doing lines and splashes. It was a landscape. They always turn out to be landscapes. Mm-hmm. That's mostly what I can recall. But I mean, I don't know right now, maybe I do need to allow myself to really be bad at something. And I think that's what I want to maintain with the new work, is to not get too good at it, not to get too good at controlling the unpredictable.
So that it just becomes yet another way that, like that it still is controlled in this new way, the way the old work was.
Yeah.
Do you do a sketch for when you're doing these now, or do you just go at it with the paint?
It depends on the project. I'm trying mostly to just go at it.
Okay.
Yeah. But with the collaboration that I'm doing with Lisa Watson, we're working together, so we have to kind of plan a little bit more.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that too. But yeah, so you're doing the upcoming boxed-in breakout. Is that what it's called? The windows at the Jepson. I would think you had to submit to them some kind of look. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about growing up. Did I pronounce your town right? Sewanee?
Sewanee, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's near Chattanooga. It's a college town, and it's in the Appalachian Mountains, and my parents taught at the college, a very, very small town. It was basically the college. Okay. University of the South at Sewanee.
Was anyone in your family artistic or creative?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a lot of artists in the family, so it wasn't a big risk. It was like, I felt like I had a lot of people saying, yeah, you can do this.
Really?
Yeah.
So in high school, were you already, I know that you came to Savannah to go to SCAD for your B.F.A, so I assume in high school you were already really focused on art.
Yeah, I was. I liked art, and I really liked theater, and I liked my English classes. I liked all the humanities, creative stuff. But I really loved theater.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Well, but your new pieces, I feel like I've said this before, they have a really vibe of like a backdrop for a theater, which I feel like would be a really cool direction to go into, especially since you said you like working on these big sheets of raw canvas, which...
I know. So if anybody's listening that maybe wants to collaborate, maybe a performer or a storyteller, or would love to do something like that.
Like a
band.
An independent performer looking to put on some pop-up performance and wants to have some different like landscapes behind them that are easy to move in and out.
Yes, I'm
very cool.
Very into them being like the pieces kind of being activated in that way, and
different lighting projected on them could do different things too.
So many
vibes.
possibilities.
Yeah, like a landscape. I guess you could do certain lights that would make it look like sunrise, and then you could make it look at night as well. Yeah,
I mean, I've been dabbling in video making. That's kind of something that can be projected too. Also with the idea of scrims, like projecting in between, which I haven't gone there yet.
Can you explain what a scrim is?
Yeah, so it's just a sheer piece of fabric that the projector projects the light on, and you see the image from the other side.
Okay.
So there's a lot of potential with theater and with video. Yeah, I mean, that could be something. I always think about bands, local bands playing, and, you know, how anybody, us visual artists, could like work with doing projections and videos that could be going on at the same time as they perform.
I know, it's interesting. It's in the middle of the Savannah Music Festival, which is awesome. But every time I see stills from it, it looks like, you know, they just have the drapes behind them and different colored lights. And
I know.
There could be a lot of room for just wild paintings hanging behind them that are sort of in their vibe.
I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for this.
Yeah.
When you first arrived in Savannah, what did you think of it?
Well, I went to a school in Ohio right after high school. And then I did a study abroad in France because I was going to be a French major or a theater major. I didn't know, I had no clue. But when I got to France, very lucky and quite, you know, very grateful for this experience. I got to study at a painting school. So it turned out that in the town I was in, which was Aix-en-Provence, there was a painting school called Marchutz, and it was a landscape painting school. Okay. And we would paint out in the environment every single day. So for a year I did that, and it was kind of based on Cézanne's ideas. Oh. So we painted Mont Saint-Victoire like every day, and that's why the landscape is so like ingrained.
Yeah, really imprinted. Because you had been young. You were 18 or 19.
Yes, and I didn't have much art experience. I had a high school experience, but I kind of learned to paint through looking at the landscape. So that's really stuck.
That's funny how you kind of had intended to go into more theater, and then it just happened to be that in this town, that was the school.
Yeah, it changed my life, the whole course of my life. I mean, I think I still would have ended up making art, but that opportunity just really changed my life. But when I was at school in Ohio and I wasn't making art, I was not happy. And even now, it's like a constant like battle, like, oh, I got to get all this stuff done just so I can be alone and paint. Like, I just want to, you know, make that time for myself.
Yeah. So when you finished with that year in France, and then somehow you decided you switched and you came to Savannah.
Yeah, because it was in the South and I wanted to be in the warm environment. Not a very deep reason. But it looked pretty.
You had a little time in Ohio and that was enough.
Yes, where it was cold. So I came to SCAD and again didn't really know what I was going to major in, but ended up majoring in painting. But I loved it. I had such a fantastic time. Yeah. Just trying all different kinds of things too.
The painting building is, you're looking out on the river. It's very dramatic. And at the time it was just at the end of this really industrial road. So we were kind of isolated. It was a really sort of different experience.
And there were a couple landscape painters there and teaching. But it was a great school for an undergraduate because they, you know, you learn technique, like taking actual classes on what was the
foundations classes are very
the foundations. I mean, I often hear from friends who went to schools that didn't have that focus on technique, kind of feeling regret that they didn't get to learn.
Yeah, there was a 2D design class and then a 3D design class and then at least one color theory class, and then you'd have life drawing as well. So color has ended up playing a really big role, I guess, in your work. When you took the required color theory class, were you like delving really, really deeply into it, or did it just sort of come very naturally to you?
I enjoyed it. You know, this is going to make me sound really out of touch, but at the time you didn't really look things up on the internet that much. Yeah. So you kind of were relying on stuff in the library or whatever the teacher presented to you. Yeah. So I see a lot of my students, I teach high school, I see a lot of my students very inspired by illustrators doing like comic book art, and that always has such a strong point of view in color. Yeah. And I'm kind of jealous that they get like that influence of how strong color can be in storytelling. Yeah. But
at the time that wasn't really part of the curriculum in a fine art major like painting, I guess.
No. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the small, like very clear tasks of painting with gouache and doing, triadic and analogous.
Yeah, they take you through all the steps of mixing things, putting a little bit of white into each one, and just like demonstrating it and seeing what actually happens. Where every single person has to do it, so you like feel with your hands what happens when I add this much white.
Yes, the tinting strength and all that. But I mean, I really learned about mixing color when I was in France at the painting school. Like I felt like I came in knowing quite a bit about
Yeah, you came in really
mixing.
strong on that.
Yeah.
The materials that you were using, did it take you quite a while to come up to the type of paint that you like to use, or was that easy for you?
You mean now? Like, so where I am now?
I guess like during your program at SCAD, by the end, did you feel like you had your look, your subject matter, and your techniques and your materials, or were you still kind of flailing around trying things?
Yes, definitely the latter.
I felt like that too.
So you went undergraduate?
Yeah, I did. I have a degree in illustration.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, I definitely did not mature by the end of my program at all. There were some kids that didn't. The majority didn't, but there were a few little like superstar kids that everybody was like, oh, they're so good. But I just was sort of still wanting to be led, I think. And also just not there yet. I mean, I just wasn't. I really don't think I developed an actual point of view in terms of the way my stuff looked. Like, it hadn't happened until the last 10 years, to be honest.
Did you feel like you were encouraged to paint things other than landscapes when you were in school? Like, were people wanting it to be more conceptual?
No.
Okay.
It was pretty representational back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be, I guess, for the undergrad degree, maybe they are still pointing you into like skills of representational art, and then I guess if you go to grad school there, then it's going to be a lot more focused on concept.
Yeah, and then at the time there was sort of a resurgence of figure painting. I cannot remember this guy's name. Curry, I think his last name was, but he did these kind of laugh out loud paintings of blonde women with these like distorted bodies, and people thought they were really funny. And then there was
is he British? I feel like I know who you're talking about. I'm gonna look this up.
And then there was a woman, this is terrible, I can't remember her name. She did close-ups of her body, but huge.
Okay, larger than life.
And she was very popular, and she kind of like a Lucian Freud, but bigger.
Oh, so they were almost grotesque feeling?
Totally, yes. Maybe her last name was Fish or something. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Later. But
this was sort of in
it was
the
in
society.
It was hot.
Okay.
Yeah, and there were people like reading High Fructose, which was like illustration fine art crossover, like lowbrow, highbrow, mashups. So it was not that conceptual, to be honest.
Okay.
But like you said, I think it was good for undergraduate. But at the same time, I mean, we weren't reading a lot about ideas either. It was so technique heavy.
Yeah. There's so much to kind of jam in that honestly you could be in school forever.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been wanting to go back to grad school for years.
Yeah.
Just could not figure out the money side of it. How do I uproot my life to do this? And
you come up with this interesting, where you're almost on like sleepaway camp, where you go away every summer for how many? 4 summers, is that right?
Yeah, 4 summers for 6 weeks. Okay. It's a low residency. I totally recommend it to anybody who might want to do that. I mean, it works for me because I'm a high school teacher, so I have summers off. It might be harder if you have a different kind of day job. But man, it's just been the best decision I've ever made.
I wonder if this type of school, if there's a lot of like specifically people who are art teachers but are wanting to do this, and like there's enough of it that there are these like M.F.A. programs specifically capitalizing on this kind of life.
Oh yeah, there's quite a few of my peers that are educators. It definitely works that way. And then a lot of people's schools will help them pay. My school is helping me pay the tuition. Yeah. And you can make it work. For me, it's been great. When you're older, there's a lot of people in the program that are older too, that have their kids that are finally getting old enough and out of the house.
Right. Or you could be gone for 3 months a year.
Yeah. So that's what's actually really nice about it, is because people are coming from different experiences, different things have happened to them. So it's a really rich, fun, and we're also grateful too. When you're younger, you don't always know awesome, you have it.
Well, also it's like if you go through high school and then you go straight through college, then you're really tired of school and you want to get out there and start living. And then after a while of like being in the real world, you're like, get me back into a classroom. Let's get back into this thing where I'm just learning for the sake of learning. It's
it's the best.
It's like a delightful treat after a few years.
And as a teacher, you know, I know how hard the teachers were working, and I'm like, I appreciate their time, and it's a lot.
Yeah,
that's very generous of what they're doing. So
when you graduated from SCAD, did you ever think about going to another city, or did you just love Savannah? You pictured yourself just staying here indefinitely?
It's like an anticlimactic story. No, I just couldn't figure out what the plan was. Like I really
that's a lot of people. That's fine.
Really lost. I mean, honestly.
Really? What year was that you finished?
I graduated in 2005, and I just did odd jobs. Like, what am I going to do for several years? And it wasn't like, I didn't ever feel like I've got to get out of Savannah. I wanted to be in a place that was like a pretty place to be, that was warm. And
especially because you paint landscapes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I was choosing it. I just didn't feel drawn somewhere else.
Right.
And so I, for many years, was just painting outside after work and not showing my work to anybody. And I wasn't ready to. I didn't want to. People were always like, you need to show these. And I was like, no, I don't want to.
So you would have day jobs, and then in the evenings and on weekends you would go out and paint in person?
Yep. I'd get my little collapsible easel and just go stand in the street and paint. And people would come up and talk to me.
Yeah.
And it was nice because it's like, I didn't have a lot of space in my apartment, so I didn't need any studio space. And you only have so many hours to do it before the light changes, so I don't know. It worked for me.
You would do it, or you would start and finish a painting when you were out there?
In one sitting,
Well, it's interesting that you say that you're in a phase where you didn't feel that great about your art, because like you said, painting in public, people are always coming up behind you and looking over your shoulder and looking at things. So you have to have a really thick skin to do that.
I guess so.
I guess unless you also have huge headphones on and are really good at like studiously ignoring people who are right around your eyesight trying to get your attention.
I know, and then I would like sometimes smoke cigarettes too, and the puff of smoke around me would also keep people at a distance.
Yeah, you were doing like a pig pen vibe. Where you're like, let me just emit a puff around me.
It usually wouldn't work.
That's
People
really
still
funny.
want to talk.
Yeah, they really do.
It was cute though. It really like makes you love your community. People would bring me coffee and drinks and cookies or...
Wow, you must have had a real like magical fairy vibe about you.
Well, I mean,
that's really nice.
Most people are happy if they're going to come up and talk to you. It's because they want to. You know, there may have been some people silently like, why is she in the way? Get out of the road. But they didn't come up.
I meant more like somebody looking over your shoulder and being like, I think that shrub should be a little bit bigger.
Oh, they would. They definitely would be like, what's that? That's not, be like...
well, I guess that it's really prepared you for it now that you've shifted into doing a lot of murals, and when we've talked about this, when you're doing outdoor murals and you're getting everyone's opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. So you've been doing this for years. You are used to it.
I guess so. That's a good point. I never really thought about it. Now, when I worked in a gallery called Kobo, I would often sit there and hear people talk about my work. It was a co-op, so I would hear them talk about my work in front of me with them not knowing that it was that I was the artist. And that would hurt a little bit more.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Kobo. What are the years that you were in that gallery?
I was there for at least 6 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
It was, and I quit during like pandemic time.
Okay.
We were struggling and still having to pay rent, but the gallery was closed, so we weren't making any sales, and so the kind of director, Dickie Stone, was very sweet and was like, don't worry about it, just go.
I'm sure there was a lot of change in that period.
Yeah.
In that gallery, I think it was 2 artists had started it around like 2010 or 2008 or something. Like, it was around for quite a while because it only just closed, a year ago maybe?
Yeah. They had a good run.
It did really well, especially in the location. It was right off of City Market. I'm sure the rent was really high, so
it kept going up.
They did great. So you were in there for 6 years?
Yes.
Was that kind of your first, like, like you said, for years people were suggesting to you to show your art and try to sell it. Was that your first time really doing that, or were you in other galleries before?
Yeah, it really was, because the first show that I had was at the Hospice show, which I don't know that they're doing art shows anymore.
I haven't heard of that in quite a while. Hospice.
Yeah. It used to be kind of a staple show, and I did that with all my work that I hadn't shown anybody.
Oh.
With Dickie Stone.
So it was like your first show after graduating from SCAD.
Yeah. Cool. It was.
Yeah.
I had done some SCAD kind of group shows.
Yeah.
But
you suddenly you felt confident you were doing the show.
Like Beth Logan put Dickie Stone and me together at the Hospice, and we sold everything we had.
Oh, I love that.
And we were just like, woohoo, yes.
Yeah.
And that's when Dickie asked me if I wanted to be in Kobo.
Oh.
And then Kobo was like a, learning by fire, because there were a lot of very professional artists in there, and they were helping me, like Daniel Smith, Tobia Mackover.
Yeah.
Were really, this is how you package your work so it looks professional. All that stuff I did not know.
Right.
Follow-up emails and building your contact list and
I guess just finishing it and wiring it really nicely to be for sale.
Yeah, all of that stuff you have to kind of learn from somebody else. So that was of like kind of the points in my life that really changed me. I think like the painting school, the landscape painting school in France, and then Kobo, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I bet.
Because I felt like I was playing with the big boys and girls, and I didn't want to fail. So I was working really hard to try to like elevate my presentation and just try to get where they were.
Was it during your period at Kobo that you started finishing your paintings with the resin?
That's right.
Pouring it on for like a candy shell.
Yes, because everybody was trying to do something that was a little different and unique, so that we were all like kind of not treading on each other's toes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I felt like I just needed some sort of trick. I mean, to be honest, there was a bit of a conceptual side. Like I wanted the paintings, so they're very bright and the resin makes them look brighter, and I wanted them to look fake, kind of, this is an invented world. Like it's an object, like a piece, and not as painterly. Yes, it would, exactly, and it would diminish the brush strokes. And like flatten it out. And honestly, in a way, it was kind of a shtick too. Kind of, this is what I'm doing, because before that, I had just done gouache on top of my little 120 pictures I'd taken with my film camera, and so that's where I started doing that. And then they really started selling a lot, because a lot of the clientele is tourists, and they were small, like the scale.
Yeah, you do a lot of square things, right?
I did squares because I felt like the square was... It wasn't making a decision right from the get-go. With a rectangle, it's like either it's portrait or it's landscape.
Oh, that's why you do a square?
Yeah, it's like really there's no decision has been made. I'm starting from zero.
That's really funny. I have one of your little square... We've done a trade before.
Yes.
So I have one of your little square, super hot colored landscapes with resin. I love it.
Yeah.
It's like a little candy.
Yeah. And that's what I think people liked them. The tourists like them because they were kind of, magnetic. Like, some little bright, happy thing.
Did you find, so selling at Kobo, where it would be the vast majority of people going through there are tourists, and you do landscapes, but they'd be wild colors. There'd be a lot of pinks and oranges and things. Did you ever have, did you find that sold well to people, or did more people want sort of a traditional looking landscape?
No, it sold well in our location. We were next to Ray Ellis Gallery, so he kind of had that corner.
Yeah, that was there for a long time too, that place.
But it feels like those buyers have moved more towards maybe River Street.
Maybe. I mean, it was too bad when Kobo closed, because it had such a long run, and then anytime that there's a co-op and that it's artists running it is really exciting.
Yeah, the art scene kind of just moved to Starland too. Yeah.
Do you miss being in a place and having to go just, I guess it wasn't a huge requirement, but a couple times a month, going there and chatting with people and having your art hanging somewhere all the time?
I do. Yeah. I miss the community for sure, of getting to see these people that you don't often run into because their lives are slightly different, and a lot of them are full-time artists and they're just working really hard.
Yeah.
And then I miss the potential for unexpected things to happen. Like when you have things hanging, you just don't know who you're going to connect with.
Right. The 7 days a week someone's going to walk through. Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me, earlier you were saying that like you would be sitting there at Kobo and somebody would be remarking on your work in front of you. And I was going to ask you about this because so you didn't, when they came in, you wouldn't be like, "Hi, I'm Dana. That's my work right there."
No,
you were
not
kind
always.
of.
I was a little surly.
Incognito.
Yeah, a little shy. Like I never knew if I should do the hard sell and walk up or just like leave people alone, which is my personal preference as a shopper is to not be approached. But I know a lot of people probably aren't. So yeah, I would be sitting there and somebody would be like, "Nah, don't like it." No,
it's so harsh.
And then you just feel like, okay, that was those would be tough moments.
Yeah.
And then you'd say, "Hello, I'm Toby M.F.A."
Oh my god. Yeah, would you swap name tags basically?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that part could be fun. I mean, I don't think I'm a saleswoman. Yeah. I don't think that was particularly my strong suit, but I think I got better at it. It's definitely easier to sell your own work than somebody else's, I think.
The thing that's interesting, if people walk, like if they are kind of loitering over your own work and you happen to be there working, you can go up and just, not do a hard sell, but just be like, "Hey, that's me. Just if you have any questions, come over." And then if they really like it and they ask you a question, you end up chatting about other stuff. And then they really like you as a person. Mm-hmm. And they're like really going to want to, especially tourists, they're going to want to get something because they're going to be like, "We actually met the artist. Mm-hmm. We had such a nice conversation." And like forever, this piece hanging in their house, when people come over and look in their house, they're going to be like, "And we met that woman."
Right.
You know, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had your 6 years at Kobo, and then you would be in group shows at Location Gallery and other places like that. How would you, I'm curious for specifically about location, because a lot of times, I don't know if people know this, but they usually have like an assignment for a particular show and they have a theme that's set and they reach out to a bunch of people and say, "Do you want to do something around this theme, yes or no?" So how would you jive that with the fact that you were almost always doing landscapes? How did that go for you?
Well, pretty easy. Peter Roberts really wouldn't ask me if it didn't sort of pertain to my work.
Oh, okay.
He's the director of location, and yeah, so he knew what I made, and he wouldn't ask me for a portrait show.
Interesting.
Yeah, which sometimes would be like, bummer, man. I would like to try to do that, but I mean, I understand why.
Interesting. I saw on your website, I guess on your page where you have your work for sale, that it's mostly landscapes, and then you had one or two that's like a painting of a bowl of fruit or some food, which seems very classically French. And since you studied abroad, I feel like I could really see you delving into that as well. That is in the same tradition of the plein air painting, and they're beautiful. They're very gestural feeling. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
those are my gouache paintings. I love the sketchbook process. So I've got my little Hemi jelly gouaches, and I love to paint and with those.
Is that so? The brand is called Hemi. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you water them down at all?
No.
Okay.
They're super opaque, and like I go up to Long Island for a family reunion every summer, and we all just sit around and paint and talk.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
What do you like about gouache as opposed to acrylic?
It's more opaque. It's kind of chalky.
Yeah.
It's usually you don't use it for large scale work, but
why is that? Is it expensive?
It's expensive, and it doesn't really flow in large pieces. But honestly, I think it would be too expensive to do a big pot of it. So you don't get any of that transparency that acrylic has with certain colors. And I mean, the Hemi gouache comes in all these colors that's pre-made, so it's good for working from observation.
Yeah, and it dries really quickly, so it'd be good for a small thing when you're out. Mm-hmm. Your new style where you're doing this like automatic processes, I feel like you of all people, I feel like you just from your memory could churn up like a bowl of lemons or something like that.
I should try.
Because you're very kitcheny as well, and you're really good at entertaining. So I feel like you could just do a picture of lemonade or something, and it would look really realistic.
Well, this summer I was doing just a automatic sketchbook drawing every morning with my cup of coffee, and I would often do little landscapes, but then there'd be kind of some legs sticking out behind a tree or something. It turned out I was doing a lot of kind of like morbid little bodies and things. I think there's always been a darkness to my work, I see it that way. Even the bright jelly resin pieces never had people in them. There was something a little desolate about the location. So even though they were bright, there was a vacancy.
Oh, maybe it could be like post-apocalyptic or something.
Yeah.
Huh. And so like the sky is being pink and yellow isn't necessarily because of a beautiful sunset, but maybe it's pollution or something.
Yeah, it's more toxic.
Oh, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
I like leaning into that nowadays. Just going darker and darker.
Yeah.
Do you so I don't draw a lot of faces or figures very often, so I feel like I have a hard time with it. I really have to look at reference to do them correctly. Do you feel like that too, just because for years and years you really haven't done figures?
It would probably be good for me.
Yeah.
I would love, if I had more time, to go do some of these open model sessions I've seen.
Yeah, I think they're popping up I think it's at Lone Wolf.
Are they doing some at Lone Wolf?
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out. I'll let you know
Yeah.
next time. There's that room behind Lone Wolf that I feel like is where they're going on.
Oh, cool.
I'll check and see.
I mean, I love working from life. I think, if I were to draw a face from memory, it would be kind of like overly simple and general. Like, I don't have enough vocabulary of the face to make it look like a specific person.
Yeah. At what point did you start teaching? You're an art instructor at Savannah Prep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been teaching, at Savannah Christian, I've been there for 13 years.
Okay.
So I did my teaching degree, and then I taught at Bluffton High School for 2 years.
Oh.
And then when the art teacher left at the school I'm at, she was retiring, and she said, "Do you want the job?" And I said, "Yes."
Nice.
Because Bluffton was a long commute.
You just happened to know her, and she just...
I had done student teaching with her.
Oh, that's really fortunate.
Yeah, it worked out.
Okay. And so how many years you've been doing that for now?
So I've been at Savannah Christian 13 years, 2 years at Bluffton.
Okay.
So 15 years of teaching high school.
Where did the Savannah Prep I got from your website, so I don't know if that's just a
Savannah
term.
Christian Preparatory School.
Got it. Okay. It's a proper name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a long name.
Do you feel like from your years of teaching, did that start to change your personal paintings at all, or did it drive you into wanting to go to grad school, like wanting to change or something?
I mean, it's enriched my knowledge so much. So I teach darkroom photography, digital photography, drawing, painting, and advanced placement. I've taught film studies also. So just having to learn all of that stuff has been absolutely fantastic. I feel confident about a lot of different techniques, even though I might not use them or maybe not even be that good at them, but I have some knowledge of a lot of techniques. And I feel like that just, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm choosing to do something rather than being limited.
I always forget that part of your teaching is in photography as well. It's very cool.
Yeah.
So you were paid basically from your career. You were like, okay, well, just got to learn more art techniques as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you got to switch it up so it keeps it interesting for the students and for me.
Yeah.
So it's been a really good gig.
What was the hardest thing in the first year where you're just at this, we're brand new and it's the learning curve?
The first year of teaching is just absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I think it's the classroom management, just trying to get 20 or so students to pay attention and do what you tell them to do, and
just the literal crowd control.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to talk tons and tons about the teaching. I was a little curious, just since you said that, as you've gotten older, is that aspect of it easier because you have like gravitas or whatever?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I think I always had a little bit of a authoritative vibe about me,
like an angry schoolmarm.
Yes. But I've now the kids know, especially since I've been at this school for 13 years. Yeah. They know I've been around and I'm not new.
Their older siblings had you.
Yes, exactly.
Of that.
So that part has gotten better for sure. It's, oh my gosh, every year it gets easier.
Really?
I've done more lessons so I can recycle things. I'm not having to make up every dang lesson.
I guess things have changed in photography though.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so we've got digital cameras for all the students, and then they each get Adobe Creative Suite. So I like getting to learn Lightroom and Photoshop, and all of this has really helped me in my career. I mean,
absolutely.
I know the basics of editing film on Premiere Pro. it's been really, that part has been really great.
You had you had a design chosen for one of the like aluminum cups that the city produces a couple years ago, and I think you have to have done some manipulation to it in Illustrator just to submit to them. Right?
That's right. Yeah. So I got that because I knew Illustrator.
Yeah. Do you have a bunch of those cups around still?
No, I sure would love some more.
I know. I'd love for you to have some too.
I need to go
if
find
anybody
them.
listening, let's describe it. It was a landscape. Was it of the bridge?
I found it was a cityscape. I founded the Historical Society at the archives, and some old pictures when there weren't so many trees of downtown.
Oh.
So I could actually see the buildings.
Okay.
And I use those as references, as kind of looking north towards the bridge.
Okay. So if anybody has that cup sitting around and
I
you
know.
didn't know who did it, it's Dana. Are people's names printed on that?
Yes.
Those names?
Though I don't know. I feel like the last one that I saw that they made, not the very most recent one, but the one before, it didn't look like it was done in Illustrator, to be honest. It didn't look as sharp. It looked more kind of like sketchy.
Like bitmappy?
Yeah, not so much. Yeah, I guess that's the word for it. I'm not really
Interesting.
sure. But it didn't look like that hard edge look.
The way like a logo would look. Interesting.
But I love to learn and tinker around with new things. So it's been really, it's actually a really good job. I get very tired and it's demanding, but I mean, the side of getting to learn arts techniques all the time is really fun.
Yeah, it
It's
sounds
been
like a great
huge.
position. Have you always been successful at like tinkering away at your own paintings on the side, no matter what you were doing, or did you have a phase where you were like just working?
No.
Okay.
I've always.
That's great. It's really hard for people to maintain that all the time.
I know. I don't know. I mean, I think I've been lucky because I had family sort of support, and I saw older generations like my Uncle Jim, Jim Buckman is a sculptor, and he just had his studio and made it work. So I had that kind of support of like, yeah, you just work when you can. 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there.
That's great. And I know you identify as being more really introverted, so it's probably easier. It's easy to be like, no, I'm not. Well, like you don't have a calendar lined up with tons and tons of stuff to do. You're really happy kind of pottering away. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something that Graham Nixon, who ran the studio school in New York, told me. He said, people aren't going to like that you say no to doing things, but you just got to do it. And you've also got to say no to doing things that you want to do. And that was the hard one. But you just cannot do everything. And I've always prioritized making art. To me, it's just honestly the most fun thing I can do. Just projects. And it's not even like making a painting. It's like, oh, I want to make a concrete bookend. I got this beautiful pine knot out on Ossabaw, and I want to turn it into a bookend. Just little things like that. Or learning how to silkscreen napkins or towels, or messing with ceramics with my friend Lucy B. Miller, or just, I like figuring it out. Yeah. You have that huge like wooden painting rack in your garage that you just showed me, and I was like, oh, did you get that somewhere? And you're like, nope, I made that. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. That's really fun to me. So you're good with power tools. Well, I would like to be. I'm an aspiring. I mean, you built that thing. It looks great. It didn't fall apart as we were looking at it. That's right. Yes. You had me over one day during the pandemic to do like arts and crafts day, and you had all these kind of blank fabrics, and we did shibori. Is that what it's called? The tie-dye? Yeah, so I have some tea towels. I know, we need to do that again. Yeah, let's do it again. I love a project day. And that was the thing during the pandemic. I was a teacher, but I couldn't go into school, so I was like in my studio trying to do projects on Zoom with the students to not good. It must have been crazy. No, like all you're trying to do is basically just keep them corralled a little bit so they're not going crazy. Yeah. Let's talk about how at some point you've really shifted into getting a lot of mural projects, and that's through SCAD art sales. Yeah. So, well, really, I was working at Kobo making those color block pieces, and really I ran into Clinton Edminster on the street, and he said, we're doing a mural project, you should try one. And I was like, yeah, I want to do something big. Yeah. I mean, I had really only been doing kind of 8-inch by 8-inch paintings, so then I did the one in Starland, which has now been removed.
Yeah.
It had a good run.
It really did. What was that? Was that called the DeSoto Row? It was that series of, I think there were 6 or so of you that wrapped around on Bull Street around the Starland Dairy.
Yeah.
You were one of those. And yeah, they did just get removed, which is a bummer. So that was your first one.
That was definitely my first one.
Which is outside and it's in public. So it's sort of all these difficult elements of it. And you had to be on a lift or a ladder or something for
We had
it?
scaffolding.
Yeah.
But I think for me, that also, honestly, thinking about points of change, that was a big one because I had always felt like I was playing a little small or, I mean, I just wasn't making big work. I felt that when I was in college, there were a lot of boys making big, ambitious work. And I wanted to be like that, but I was afraid. I didn't think I was good enough. And so doing that big mural, I don't know, it was really good for my self-esteem.
Yeah.
It really changed how I thought about myself. So I definitely encourage everybody to just find a wall and do something big. I can't quite explain the sort of transformation that happens.
It is really interesting. You really have to be ballsy to say, I want to do this huge thing that's going to A, take up a lot of space, and B, people are going to see it from far away. Yeah. It's a statement.
Yeah, it is a statement, but it doesn't last forever. It gets painted over, that as it should. Yeah. That's the way of things.
I always did pretty small things too, and then during the pandemic when we had a lot of time, I bought some big canvases that were like 6 feet by 3 feet, so they're basically like a door. And did a few of those and like in the same technique that I would have done small, but just blown up huge. And it was really exciting to see them.
Your cherry blossoms?
Yeah. Thanks for thinking of that. I had this pair of cherry blossoms that I thought came out great. And
I know.
It's really a thing.
It is a strange, I tell my students that a lot. I'm always trying to tell them to do something bigger. You know, it's like this whole idea of taking up space though. Right. Because
just that is also tied to like women and our bodies and how weird it feels to take up space.
And it's not just taking space to claim like area for your own, though it kind of is, I guess, in a way. It's sort of saying, look at me, here I am, I exist. But the mural is like I said, it goes away. So it's not like building a monument or a mausoleum. I mean, yeah. It kind of is like maybe it's in the same
I mean, the thing is, it doesn't have to go away. You can do an outdoor mural that's never going to go anywhere. That one in particular did. But you had, 5-6 years out of it, which is... Yeah. So it's not like... It's not like such a tester thing where you throw up this big thing, but then it went away in a week, so it was okay or something. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it was up. Obviously, thousands of people saw it driving by. Your name is on it, which is very cool. Yeah. Who knows what other things came just from that.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about billboards who kind of demand your attention kind of against your will. I mean, there is that side of it too. Yeah. Where someone's like, could potentially say, I don't want to look at that. Why is that? Why are you making me look at this? It's like music being played that you don't want to hear. And yet I say, still do it anyway.
How come so on that series of murals that there were 6 or 8 of you, I guess a couple of them like got tagged at some point, but I don't think yours ever did, right?
No, it didn't. I think it was more the location or something.
Okay, that's weird.
And honestly, I really only think it was a couple people's.
Okay.
It could have been a lot worse, is my point.
How was that experience? So for your first one, it's like, you know, doing an outside mural is harder than doing inside. And like you said, you had scaffolding involved as well. Was there anything that you learned on that one? Some key advice to people?
It's hard. It's hard. It was very hard for me. Yeah. It looked simple because, like you said, it is kind of paint by numbers and everything, but it's always a little harder. You know, you've helped me with things.
Yeah, I should say I subcontract for Dana on, I think I've done three or four murals now for you, and I love doing it.
But there's always something. Like the last one we did, there was a texture on the wall. Right. We were fighting that.
Like with each one you're learning, you're having a new thing to learn. Where maybe you show up and you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing. But no, there's going to be a new challenge.
There's always something.
And also with them, you know, like unless you're going to get out there and freehand a mural, which I don't think anybody does, you have to get out there and project. So people probably don't know this. You have to like have your sketch and then have some kind of projector and like be able to back up the projector away from the wall and project up there and then like trace and do your sketch. And so it has to be a certain type of lighting to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where it's really a design challenge because usually you're working with a client, so you've got to give them what they want. I'd love to try to do a mural and just go ham on it and just, like a real like street artist who doesn't have a plan.
Yeah. Like always. In your new automatic painting type of thing?
See what happens. I would be scared, but maybe that's a good sign.
Would you do that in your own house?
Yeah, I do have a cute little wall out there, and I have some leftover paint from the last mural job. Might just try it.
Would you do an inside one too, or do you?
Yeah, I'm a little controlling about the
Okay.
walls in the house because I don't want them too wild and crazy. It makes me a little stressed out.
Got it.
I save that for somewhere else. I like white walls with some art, but I can't have it.
No, I hear you.
I need it to be calm. But yeah, I maybe I'll try.
So you go ham on one of your exterior walls.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So yeah, you did a mural at the top of the stairs inside the Jepson, which I helped you on, and that was awesome. Probably a ton of people got to see that one.
Yeah, that was such a good environment. That's what's fun about doing murals is the location that you do them in and how much that influences the way you decode what you're looking at.
That was so grand. I mean, it's just like at the top of this huge staircase, and the ceiling is really huge, and like all the windows and everything. And I guess that one did eventually come down, but that was there for 5 years or so too.
Yeah,
right?
so I finished it, and then I think the pandemic.
Yeah, hit. I remember I was helping you do that one too, and it was right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that one also was good for my self-esteem. I mean, I grew up in a family of very academic people, and I was not. I always felt a little bit like a fish out of water, and like, I got good enough grades, but it's all relative. My sisters got great grades and valedictorian and went to Ivy Leagues, and I always felt like I was just a little not good enough.
Oh.
I mean, I think a lot of people have that story internalized, like you're just not, especially when you're young.
Well, it feels like maybe in your family in particular, that the stakes were keyed up really high, because when I hear you tell your story, you went off to France early in your college and you were already learning the French language, and then you went off to do French painting, which sounds very academic to me. You only were less than compared to your sister who's the literal valedictorian.
Yes. Yeah. And I think there was also maybe some striving to try to fit. I mean,
or you had a different direction that you went in that you could be successful at.
Well, and I mean, I had a propensity for drawing, and so I thought, well, I'm just not going to play the words game. I'm not going to even try to go there. And it was kind of a wordless way to communicate. And I was often very quiet and afraid of sort of saying the wrong thing, but visual things felt safe. So I don't know, having that kind of grand entry to looking at that mural was also good for me of like, yeah, it was such a beautiful
I guess
space.
It does feel it's like an establishment thing. You're in this beautiful contemporary art museum in the city, and your name is on this cool plaque right next to it.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd seen a tag with my name and the
very
date.
Exciting.
And so I do love the Art 912 thing at the Jepson. I mean, I think it's really important. I mean, what they're doing is they show local artists for Art 912, and it's really important because it makes you feel like you're valid, and it makes the people that live here feel like they're being seen. So it's really important. I hope they keep doing it.
Yeah, so let's talk about, coming up, you and Lisa D. Watson, another painter, are doing a duet on the boxed and breakout windows. How did that come about that you guys decided to apply for it?
Well, we saw the call for submissions, and Lisa had come over for a studio tour I did of a large-scale painting, and I had told her that I kind of thought about them as backdrops, and she said, well, I love that idea. It's something that I have done. She'd done a piece sort of like that where she had a painting and a sculpture in front. And so we just banged together the proposal, and it's called Heroes and Hosts because it's sort of the marrying of our human stories and ancestry and taking all of this humanity and all of our kind of shared experiences and connecting them to the natural world. And in the natural worlds, there are these hosts that host all of the biodiversity that we have. So, this tree might be the only place a certain butterfly can lay its eggs.
Right.
So the heroes is sort of that mythological and humanistic side, and then the hosts being the science, sort of the natural hosts. I'm kind of learning from Lisa a lot of the information about the local landscape in terms of the ecological side.
Because she has a landscaping company as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I just think one piece of the story of what we're missing about when we destroy the land is we're really destroying a lot of our stories. I mean, a lot of the land that gets sort of clear cut is sort of called unuseful. And it's like, there's really no such thing. The marsh is really important to cleansing pollutants. And
Well, you said that term that somebody had deemed the land as, what did you say, it was non-useful?
Yeah, it's not useful. It's like trash land.
It just, that feels very, I guess it's like very capitalistic. Like if there's no specific natural resource to extract from it, like that's what they mean by useful.
Yeah. Everything is for use.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a very helpful comment that you make, because what is the use that we're talking about? Use to who and in what way? There are other uses that we maybe are ignoring, but if it's just for capital, then it's trash land.
To make into some chemical to put into a car or a plastic or something.
Yeah, but there's other uses, I think, in my mind for these things that is more communal. So I don't know what the answer is. And again, like I said, I don't want to sound preachy. There's nothing more irritating than that. But we're putting together a website called heroesandhosts.com, where we're compiling all of our science and myth. I got to find another word for it, but sort of storytelling side together. So I will hope people will go check that out, because it's really clarifying in my mind some ideas about how to look at the world. I think we need a little shift of how we look at the natural world.
Are you going to be taking these ideas when you go this coming summer to grad school? And
I think I'll be taking it forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't paint the landscape and not talk about ecology and the environment, Yeah. It's just embedded in it.
Well, I love that you said for these pieces that you're doing together that there will be these like painterly backdrops and then some 3D, some sculptural pieces in front as well.
Yeah. So we don't know what it's going to end up looking like, and that's kind of the fun of it. But Lisa will do the sculptures, I'll do the backdrops. We're working together on the website, and then we'll, just continue to keep learning about things and, I don't know, putting it out there. But this all really kind of started partly with just going to Asaba and like feeling the need to be alone in a natural setting, which is such a great privilege.
Yeah, you're really good about going to Asaba. Is it once every year you go for like a weekend? Or
Yeah, we just go for a couple nights, but I would love to go more. So I know that Arts Southeast is trying to make a scholarship for artists to be able to go.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Do you paint while you're there, or do you just kind of take photos and back?
A little of both.
Yeah.
One year I made a film.
Yeah.
This past year I just sketched and just tried to be there. I went out with my sketchbook mostly is what I like to do.
How many donkeys are out there? Is it
I don't know.
more than you can count? Or
No.
Okay.
They're not having more donkey
It's a little
babies.
herd of them. Okay.
Yes, so this is the end of that.
When do you install your boxed-in breakout windows?
That'll be June 13th-ish.
Okay, so you have some time. And then there'll be a talk at some point.
Yes, we'll have an artist talk at the Jepson. We'd love everybody to come to look at our website, and
It's ambitious. You're doing a website too. I love this. And then kind of the last thing I want to talk about, you're in the midst of a whole other project that was the Art Fields. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Art Fields is an art competition in Lake City, South Carolina. It's near Columbia and Florence. And I know there's quite a few Savannians that have done it. I have never been, so I took my large painting Storm and Stress up there. That's about 65 feet, and installed it up there.
And it's like loose canvas, basically, that you can hang up from something.
Yeah, I worked out a whole new system of there's dowels and cast concrete feet, And then along the top, stretched between the dowels, is some copper piping that I bent into a serpentine shape.
Okay.
So it's all an experiment.
Because I know you had to go back once to rehitch it up somewhat. What part had fallen?
Well, it was like the space between the two dowels had started to sag.
Okay.
Nothing broke, thank goodness. It was just the weight of the canvas. This was a situation where I made the 65-foot painting and then figured out how to display it after I made it.
Yeah, and you displayed it inside your studio space.
Yes.
But it was you were displaying it a different way. So this time of installing it at Art Fields was the first time doing that.
That way. Yeah, I'd love to do it again.
Yeah.
In a different location, preferably outside.
Well, now you learn so much doing it now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with the automatic painting is you're not making a plan. And then you have put yourself into a situation
the plan
that you need to figure out.
You box yourself into a little corner and then you gotta chip your way out of it.
But Art Fields was started by a woman named Darla Moore, and she had made a bunch of money in a business school, and she wanted to revitalize her hometown of Lake City, which is really very rural. And so she started this, and it's worked.
It's a cool idea.
And this town is cute as a little button, and it doesn't feel like a fake kind of theme park city. There were actually people waiting in line at the barber shop. There was a fruit stand with somebody actually selling, okra and stuff.
Yeah.
There's coffee shops. It's so cute. So I'm interested. I'll go back for the closing and just sort of see what it's like.
Right.
I'm just happy that more eyes will get on that piece because I love painting on unstretched canvas, but then it rolls up and then it's like kind of out of sight, out of mind. So it feels like an event to unroll, unscroll.
And this was your biggest piece. Mm-hmm. Is it so? And it goes on for a few weeks, right? The whole
Yeah.
show? Okay.
I'm not sure when it opens. Soon though.
And there's prizes, and then things are for sale as well.
Yes.
Is it like for the people who live in the town to look at the art, or are people traveling from elsewhere to come and like take it all in as well?
Well, I've heard that people travel to come.
Okay.
I mean, you'd have to make an intention to go because there's nothing nearby.
So people listening to this will air next Wednesday. So
yeah.
Is there a time where they could go?
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, I saw some of the work that was installed when I went back up there, and it was very ambitious, professional.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, whoa.
Is this the time? So when you send in your application, did you say, I'm going to have a 60-foot painting?
Yes.
Okay.
So
they can plan out where to put you.
Yes. If you want to do, there is a size limit on the application, but you can write them an email and say, I have a bigger piece. Do I have permission to apply with a larger piece? And they say yes. So
people could be people who have a really ambitious thing that they've created and need like some enormous venue for it. This is a good opportunity.
Yes. And there are some other people from Savannah who are doing it this year. Isaac McCaslin, Willetta Kaminska.
I think she did the boxed-in windows in the past.
Yes. Jared Suff. Those are the three I know right now, but I know there's more.
Okay.
So,
and I know Lisa did it in a past year. So
Lisa's done it. Joy Dunnigan. Quite a few. There's if you ask around, there are people that have done it, and that's why I just wanted to try it out and see.
I'll try to do it too. I'll do something really big. I'll do some. I'll do some really big canvas.
There you go. I think that I've heard that they like the big things.
Okay.
My space is in a venue that's like a big warehouse, so something small would get dwarfed.
Do you have photos of your piece installed right now?
Yes.
Okay. I love that. I'd love to post that as well.
Yeah, that would be a nice thing.
Yeah. Like you were talking about just your work at the beginning, but very controlled, and you did a lot of color studies, and you like you said, had a little tight rein on it. And so you're really trying to push yourself.
Yeah.
As you're going through life, and to like overtly doing these things where you don't have a full plan from the beginning.
Yeah. Like I want to get loose. I want to get free. I think that's what I like about art is feeling free in some way. And so it's like, well then do that in your artwork.
Like you said that your teaching is like not overtly influencing you all the time and you love it and it's your day job, but maybe just like the vibe of as we're aging and you do tend to get, you just get a little like in your life, you've boxed yourself into different places, but like not to quote the movie, but the older you get older and they just stay the same age, the high school kids. So you're just like around this youthful vibe all the time where they are loose and they haven't made decisions that have boxed themselves in their life at all. And maybe just literally being around them all the time is giving you a little inspiration to
Yeah,
incorporate that.
I think what's also good for me and my personality is that I have my day job. I don't have to sell my work. I did that at Kobo. It's not like the marketplace is not as an objective. And I think also I'm kind of realizing if that's not an objective for me right now, then just stop worrying about it altogether. Like, I'm not trying to make work to sell right now. And that's feeling really good. But it's not totally sustainable. I understand all of the drawbacks of a thing because things cost money. I mean, that piece of canvas was expensive and all those supplies. I mean, it was...
Yeah, you said you had copper to hang it up. I guess copper's expensive, right?
Yeah, all the concrete, the wooden dowels. I mean, all of that. So...
Well, good thing you got that lucrative day job of school teacher.
School teacher. So I just pinch my pennies and then I just, throw it away at Home Depot.
Maybe the school can somehow sponsor you a bit because it's almost like continuing education that you're bringing to the kids.
Well, they do. They pay me. They reimburse me for some of my tuition.
Oh, okay. That's great. All right. Love that.
But I think what I'm proud of myself for doing right now is just like having the courage to change a lot in my work. And I think we were kind of in school at a time where the economy was doing well and branding and hustling and all of that was really important, as opposed to maybe a 60s or 70s that would have been more free and loose. So
yeah.
Kind of that was really ingrained in my mind, especially with the beginning of Instagram and making your grid look good and all of those concerns.
You being a personal brand or whatever.
Yeah, that I haven't let go completely, to be honest, but I am letting go a lot because I got so burnt out. I mean, honestly, I was really burnt out after Kobo because, I was working my day job and then sitting at the gallery and then trying to make little paintings as fast as I could. And I couldn't keep going with it.
I understand.
Yeah. But, it's everything comes with good and bad. It was also really liberating to be like, I can show my work without a gallery. Let's cut out the middleman. I have sold things off of Instagram.
Yeah.
Especially during the pandemic when people weren't going out and about. So it had that great side, but then it also had the side where it was like, you need to be doing all of these things or you're not doing it right.
Right.
And it became a burden.
And then it's like an extra art form, basically, doing that, setting it up, curating it.
Yeah.
Well, you do have a page on your website of some paintings for sale. So
yes.
If you want to check that out. And then it looks like on your portfolio page on your website, it's like your past murals and then kind of broken down your years of grad school. It looks like each one is sort of a different... You've named each of your years at grad school. That's on your portfolio page.
Yeah, I think because I'm changing so much. The work, which I call A Violet Sun, all of that kind of bright color pop stuff, I did that for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I just dug my foot into that for a long time, but now I'm kind of generating different things.
Yeah, so it's interesting because the look of the murals is still that look of like your old, like you said, the little square pieces. So you still have that. Like, if you ever missed doing it, you're still carrying it out in your murals.
That's right.
But like you said, taking up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this has been really wonderful. Is there, what, you want to leave us with anything at the end that we're going to look forward to seeing your windows on the side of the Jepson and anything else you want to throw out there that you're looking to experiment with this summer at grad school at Micah?
I'm going to stay open. I don't have a plan.
All right.
I'm going to show up in my little station wagon. And I'm going to just see what happens. But definitely no plan.
Well, I really look forward to seeing the windows that you and Lisa are doing. It's very cool.
Thank you so much.
Your largeness in general. Going big.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been artist Dana Richardson. And this is Tamara Garvey. And thank you for listening.